Okay, morning everyone. Welcome to the briefing on Saturday, the 8th of April. Certainly got cold overnight, a touch of frost on the car this morning. And hopefully, looking at the sky, looking at the weather picture, it's going to be another nice day, but subtly different from yesterday, I think, principally in where the air mass is coming from. Now we're drawing in a sort of southeasterly flow, change in air, still reasonably high pressure and wide spacing in the isobars, so not windy and not unstable, but we're drawing in some air from across the North Sea, really, which is clearly going to have some effect. Might just mean it takes a little bit longer to get going than it did yesterday. Nothing else really to say about this chart. You've got sort of this frontal system and low pressure developing out here, which eventually is going to get to us on Monday. But got a nice day today and hopefully again tomorrow. TAFs, again, mercifully short, but they are showing up. The most obvious thing that we've now got a sort of easterly flow, 0804 knots. Most places are about the same. They're not showing much at the moment, but that'll pick up, I think, as the morning goes on, as we start to get some mixing. And a few at 4.5. Gatwick, I think, a very similar picture in terms of cloud. Yeah, it says few at 4.5 again. So similar to yesterday. Looking at the forecast, it's not quite as high as yesterday, I don't think. But we'll see how the temperature, it'll be temperature driven, really, see how that goes. Upper winds, yeah, definitely more of an easterly flow now, southeasterly across the middle of the country, 10 knots, 15 knots southeasterly across the channel. So, yeah, we're certainly going to notice the drift today a little bit more than yesterday. Hence, we're setting up on 09. Satpic doesn't look too dissimilar to yesterday, with a sort of clear area in between, cloud here and more cloud out to the east. Yesterday, this stuff burnt back. Today, I think it's going to be not a factor, but it's going to be there. Noticeable, very high cirrus at times. It doesn't look like it's going to burn back today. And you can see the fog, which is clearing slowly now, taking a time to clear in places. So the sun's got a little bit more work to do than it did yesterday. Temperature-wise, it got to nearly 14 degrees yesterday around here, and I think similar or slightly warmer today because of the direction of the wind. So we'll work on 15 degrees for today. Dew points, well, they eventually came down to about 0 yesterday, and that was very late afternoon. But they hovered around 3 degrees, 2 degrees from about 12 o'clock onwards. And I think a very similar picture today, maybe 3 degrees dew points, a fraction higher maybe. Currently, temperatures are around about 7 degrees, dew points about 5. So a little bit lower than this, I think, when thermal activity gets going, but working on about 4 to 3 degrees, somewhere around there. So looking at those numbers in the ascents, this is 1 o'clock around Lasham. I think it'll be around 13 degrees by that particular point, with dew points around 3 degrees. You should have 3,500 feet. Cloud tops about 5. And then a little bit later, it doesn't show this as being a great improvement, but I would say with 14 degrees and dew points, if they are down at say 3, it's potential for 4,500 foot above Lasham, 5,000 feet above sea level. And then looking further north, it looks very, very similar. Perhaps lines a little bit closer together, so suggesting perhaps a little bit more cloud further north. Of note, the lines up here suggesting some cirrus on both ascents. So a bit more sort of upper level cloud indicated by the predicted ascents. Top Meteo showing this sort of upper cloud here, and this is the sort of 9 to 10 o'clock picture. Move it on a couple of hours. By 12 o'clock, they're showing cumulus here and out to the north, but not much change in the upper cloud. No sign of spread out in here, because that was quite a strong indication of an inversion on the ascent, more so than yesterday. Showing a lot more cloud in East Anglia and Kent area. Still cumulus around here, breaks in the upper cloud, and they are showing some spread out to the northwest. That's sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think, just like yesterday, it will keep going till 5 o'clock or beyond that, as it did yesterday. Perhaps more of a sharp cut-off with the upper cloud, killing the temperature late afternoon. So thermal activity, predicting getting going, that's 11 to 12 o'clock. They're saying 3,000 feet by 12 o'clock. And then by 2, that's 1,400 meters, so 4,000 feet. And getting up to 1,500 meters, 4.5 over Lasham and out to the northwest. Doesn't look like it's quite so good in East Anglia, and I would say that's really also a reflection of that cloud you saw on the sat pic, and the air's coming off the North Sea, having an effect in East Anglia. Sky sight, well, actually, let's look at the predicted distance. Again, good down in the south, out towards the west, northwest, and up towards Oxford and beyond, up to the northwest. Don't go too far into East Anglia by the looks of it. So, sky sight, slightly less optimistic on thermal heights by sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock. They're saying only 900 meters in this area here. 1,100 perhaps a bit further north, and then move it on a couple of hours. And they're saying 1,100 meters, better out to the northwest. So there's a variation in the two forecasts. But again, should be a nice day. Perhaps not getting going quite as early as it did yesterday, but we'll see. The cumulus started yesterday, at least about half an hour before I thought it was going to. So we'll see. Hopefully by 12 o'clock we're launching everybody. Okay, when you're flying, NOTAMs. Less of a picture today. Lots of duvet flying in various places, 21, 24. Paragliding, number 14's us. We've NOTAMed activity, which means that our phone is buzzing with people asking what's going on. The danger areas have been activated out here. Number 19. There were some questions over that yesterday. I've spoken to them again today, dragged some more information out of them. It's a helicopter doing the parachute drop about once every hour. The first one's planned for 10 o'clock, up to 3,000 feet above the ground. The person on the ground is on 119.450, monitoring what's going on. So if you want to speak to him, that's the frequency to use. He is using a different frequency to speak to the helicopter. That's about it, but say once every hour till late afternoon. I suspect it's something to do with filming, but he wouldn't say. Okay, looking further to the northwest, nothing out there, and the same again out to the northeast, so very quiet. Because of the easterly flow, we've set up on 09, and we're going to do a very similar thing to yesterday. Hopefully the grid line with 2 gliders will be here, leaving us enough room to operate a winching operation with the launch point vehicle just back from the intersection here. Gliders on the grass, cables on the boom on the runway. If it's dry enough, we may move the winch slightly and have the boom, have the cables towing on the grass. But when we start launching the cross-country gliders from the grid, we'll move the launch point vehicle back to where it normally would be here, launch everybody, and then just drag the rest forward as we go. It's relatively flat ground there. It's not as if you're dragging uphill, so it shouldn't really be a problem. Seemed to work quite well. Busy yesterday. Everybody behaved themselves. Absolutely nothing to say really. Hopefully everybody will have a good day and come back smiling. And I'll see you out there fairly shortly.